Welcome back to another week of Gacha News on the 5-9 Gaming Network. I'm your co-host SINoALICE, and just a reminder to all of our viewers, if you're enjoying the content, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay up to date with all things 5-9. Let's get going. Monster Strike started a collaboration with the iconic series Evangelion. The crossover event officially launched on April 10th and will end on the 17th, so there's still time to get some event-exclusive units. Speaking of units, this isn't the first time Evangelion characters have been brought over to Monster Strike. All the characters from the fourth collaboration from last year will be featured as well as older units. Don't fret if you get an older unit though, these characters will be able to transcend to even stronger units. For example, Asuka will transform into a whole new unit. This goes for other characters like Shinji, who has multiple transcended forms. Other older characters like Kowuru and Rei will also be receiving the same treatment. There will be collab quests to complete during the duration of the crossover celebration. There are 5 to tackle in total, with each dropping a different angel as a reward. The angels available include the 3rd angel, the 4th angel, the 5th, and 7th, and 8th angel. All the angels shown can also be revolved as well. The game is at the one point did have a global server, but sadly it has since shut down, leaving the game and the event to be JP exclusive. If you'd like to participate in the collaboration, Monster Strike is available for both Android and iOS devices on JP. D4DJ Groovy Mix is also underway with its own collaboration. This collaboration will cross over with the Quintessential Quintuplets. The event is JP exclusive and will feature outfits from D4DJ characters inspired by each of the main girls from Quintessential Quintuplets. Let's go through them real quick. Here's Hiro, inspired by Ichika, Muni, matching with Nino, Noah and Miku, Hanamaki and Yotsuba, and lastly Haruna and Itsuki. There will be disc skins featuring each of the quintuplets during the crossover event. To get these skins, players will also be able to collect Collaboration Limited material. By the way, Collaboration will be going to end today, so if you want to participate, make sure to do so soon. D4DJ Groovy Mix is available for Android and iOS on Global and JP, and it's in a JP exclusive with no word on its time coming to Global at any point. Girls Frontline for Chinese service has had some artwork removed from its versions. The speculated reason why is that the artwork of the units were seen to be too lewd. And what happened with Azure Lane? In Azure Lane, a mobile gacha where you collect battleship girls, there were characters that were removed due to their lewd nature. Basically, this means that new players on the Chinese version will be permanently locked from ever acquiring the characters that were taken out. As of now, there is no word on whether or not these units will ever return to the game. The only plus side to the situation is that players that already own the units will still be able to keep them. This connects to the Chinese version of Girls Frontline because Azure Lane is reported to the authorities multiple times for its content, which led to the characters being removed. In turn, it appears the Chinese versions of mobile titles will need to be cautious when putting out fan service or lewd content, otherwise they'll face similar consequences with the Chinese government. Don't worry, global players, there's some collaborations heading your way too. SINoALICE announced that it'll be having a crossover event with ReZero starting today. There will also be, or already have been, depending on when this video goes live, a live stream for the ReZero collaboration at 000 UTC. Where they'll preview the event, Q&A, and free goodies handed out during the live stream. There hasn't been too much info revealed yet, hence the live stream. But we do know that Subaru and Emilia from ReZero will be making an appearance in an original scenario exclusive to the game's event. Both characters will also be voiced by the respective Japanese voice actors. The game is also having a new user campaign event until the 30th that will reward new players with 2,500 Twilight Crystals. This will allow new players to go up to 88 Grimoire summons. Also, in celebration of the crossover, the official SINoALICE Twitter is having a social media campaign. Based on the amount of likes, comments, and retweets the post gets, players will be rewarded up to 250 Twilight Crystals, and 10 lucky participants will have a chance of getting a SINoALICE Snow White plushie. The JP side of the game is getting a rerun of the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius collaboration, so whatever version you're playing, there's a collab on your way. SINoALICE is playable on Android and iOS devices with JP and worldwide versions available as well, making the game very accessible. You guessed it, even more collabs. Exos Heroes will be having one with Danmachi that will run until the 21st of the month. 3 characters from Danmachi will appear in Chance Increase Recruit Gachas. The characters are Ben Coronel, Ryu Leon, and Ais Wallenstein. Ryu Leon is going to be available to recruit for free when players complete the crossover core raid event. There'll also be free goodies up for grabs via the game's 7 days of gifts. For those unfamiliar with Exos Heroes, it's a global RPG that features 3D graphics with over 200 heroes, PvP, monster battles, guild raids, daily dungeons, and mini-games as well. If you never gave the game a chance, collaborations and anniversaries are always the best time to start. Exos Heroes is available for both Android and iOS worldwide and for JP. Disgaea RPG just finally released globally earlier this week. Players smashed through its pre-registration campaign, getting all rewards reaching 500,000 registrations. To celebrate the game's release, the developer, Boltern Games, is giving players various rewards including nether quartz, a 4-star Etna, and some skip items. The game features original story, characters, and familiar elements fans of the series have come to love, like getting characters to the max level of 9,999. The iconic infinite item world is also included in the game where players can upgrade their equipment so it can be the best it could possibly be. Those worried about having to sit and slowly grind won't have to do it here. Disgaea RPG offers auto mode with 4 times to ensure players don't waste their time at all. If you've never heard of Disgaea or have never given the game a try, now's the perfect time to get a taste of what the series is like for free. Disgaea RPG is available for Android and iOS for JP and global. Ys 6 Online, the Ark of Napishtim, is going to be having a live open beta test very soon. The beta will launch April 23rd and will conclude on the 29th. Applications to participate in the beta have been able to be submitted until the 22nd. The beta will be exclusive to JP, as well as the game when it eventually releases. And it will be an online RPG remake of the original Ys 6 that was released back in 2003. The story begins with the series protagonist Adol when he sets out for sea and is attacked by the Roman fleet. He is forced to sail into an unknown area. In attempts to save one of his fellow crewmates, he gets washed ashore by the vortex that surrounds the Canadian islands. He awakes in a red-hot village and where the adventure starts. The game will be the first mobile release of the series with a remaster of the 8 coming down the line as well. For those interested, applications to participate in the beta can be submitted via QApp. The game will release sometime in 2021 for JP on Android and iOS devices. Now off to Sly to close this out.
Thank you, Nolar. Pokemon Masters is having a rerun of the legendary event for Rayquaza, and with this rerun brings his Sync Grid. His Sync Grid gave him a fantastic buff in more ways than one. Normally, you would have the clear-headed Lucky skill, which prevents the Pokemon from being confused. However, Rayquaza now has that ability built into his Sync Grid, allowing you to now run Critical Strike 2 as his Lucky skill, so you can do even more damage than before. Rayquaza also receives Weather Surge 3 in his grid, which powers up moves when any weather condition is in effect. The legendary event is up until May 18th, so you have plenty of time to farm him up. We will also be getting the Celine and Decidueye Sync pair, as well as the Elio and Primarina Sync pair. Decidueye came out today, while Primarina drops in 2 days. Decidueye has an ability in its grid called Critical Healing 4, which has a good chance of restoring the user's HP when the user lands a critical hit. Not to mention Critastrophe 4, which powers up moves if they become a critical hit. So running a critical rate buffer such as Blue and Blastoise will help Decidueye land the critical hits more often. Decidueye also has Restraining Sync up 5, which powers up sync moves when the target is restrained. Restrained is a new affliction which prevents the Pokemon from switching out. Primarina has Sparkling Aria Trip of 4, which has a good chance of lowering the target's speed when attack is successful. She also has Defense Crush 4 and Mind Games 4 on her Sparkling Aria, with Defense Crush reducing defense when attack is successful, and Mind Games which has a good chance of lowering the target's special defense when attack is successful. Both Primarina and Decidueye will be in the general pool of 5 stars, so do not worry about missing out on them. Dragalia Lost is having a Gala Remix banner. With this banner, we are getting Humanoid Mercury, a character many players have been looking forward to, alongside the child version of Ranzel. Mercury is a Water Dagger unit. With her first skill, Raging Ocean, she deals damage to enemies directly ahead, inflicts Frostbite, and raises the Dragon Gauge if the attack connects. If the user has a Team Strength Amp, a more powerful version of the skill will be used. Her second skill, Aquatic Ruin, deals damage to enemies directly ahead and grants the user a Strength Amp. If the user already has shapeshifted at least once, a more powerful version of this skill will be used. And just like Mim, Humanoid Mercury will only transform into Mercury regardless of what dragon they have equipped. And from the second transformation and onwards, the user will transform into High Mercury instead. Child Ranzel is a Flame Axe unit. This is the first Flame Axe unit we have received since Halloween Mim back in October of 2019. Ranzel's first skill, called Swing for the Fences, is pretty straightforward. He deals damage to enemies directly ahead and inflicts Scorch Rend. His second skill, Grand Slam, grants the user a Strength Amp and immediately readies the Swing for the Fences skill for use. The next time the Swing for the Fences skill is used, it will deal critical damage. This critical hit will reset the user's inspiration level if the user is inspired. And since this is a Gala remix, an older Gala unit will be featured on the banner. This time, it is Galalaxy. With this Gala remix, we also have the next dragon in the rotation for the Trials of the Mighty event, Poseidon. His drops will grant Convictions and Devotions, the items needed in order to Mana Spiral Gala Elisan. On top of all this, the Onslaught event, Elementary Escapades, is also available. And since this is an Onslaught event, that means it's time to restock up on honey. And last but definitely not least, the Executioner Zeldris has arrived on JP Grand Cross. He is a Holy War Festival unit, so the only other festival that will be on his banner is Assault Mode Meliodas. Zeldris' passive reads, increases allies' basic stats by 2% for every debuff applied on enemies, limit of 10 times. His passive works perfectly with Assault Mode Meliodas' passive, where he debuffs the enemies for attacking him, or allies who are also demons or have commandments. With this new Zeldris, his commandment of piety is being changed. Originally, his commandment is removes debuffs from allies and enemies that moved skills, and depletes the ultimate move gauge by 1, except Deathmatch. His new commandment effect reads, if a critical strike occurs from skill use, decreases crit rate and crit damage by 10%. Applies to both allies and enemies when entering battle, excludes deathmatch, and limit of 3 times. This commandment change does not affect the previous 2 Zeldrises and is only for the Festival Zeldris. The main appeal of this commandment is that they are gray debuffs, meaning they cannot be cleansed and they will never go away. So if you are debuffed by Zeldris, you are permanently debuffed until your ally faints or Zeldris leaves the field. His first skill, called Black Road, inflicts cut damage, which is additional damage equal to 50% of 100% of your critical damage. Alongside this modifier, this skill can never deal critical damage. Sounds weird, but due to his commandment, he will never be affected by it with his first skill. His second skill, called Death Area, depletes up to 2 ult gauges of the enemy and prevents ultimate moves from being used for up to 2 turns. His ultimate skill, Dia's E-Ray, deals single target damage and reduces the HP related stats by up to 15% of all enemies. So while Zeldris may not be the most hardest hitting unit, the utility that he brings to the table helps out the Assault Mode Meliodas team a bunch. Alongside this Zeldris, we also got Chandler, who was Meliodas' teacher back in the day. His passive reads, decreases all stats of enemies who use a skill by 7% for 1 turn in PvP. Applies when entering the battle, applies before the skill is activated, and is repeatable. His first skill, called Dragon Claw, deals single target damage and restricts all skill effects including ultimate move effects for up to 2 turns. It does exclude stances and recovery skills, however. His second skill is Full Counter. This is the same card as Esteros' counter card, however the base damage is halved to 300% of attack, but it will deal up to 100% additional damage. His ultimate skill is an AoE attack that inflicts charge damage, which ignores defense. As with all new units, there will be new costumes available for purchase, first with money and then with gems in 2 weeks. There are also new costumes available for Goddess Liz, Sariel, and Luduciel. With this update also comes a few quality of life updates, with one being able to pray in the guild hall without having to go to the guild hall manually. That is all for this week's Gacha News. I'm your co-host Sly, signing us off here at 5-9 Gaming. Have a great weekend, everybody.